All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about a tree that's so beautiful, they call it the flame tree. But, its beauty is hiding a massive waste problem. And more importantly, we're going to explore this really brilliant way to turn that exact waste into something incredibly valuable.
So, meet the Delonix regia, also known as the flamboyant tree. It's this gorgeous ornamental tree. People love it for its stunning flowers. But after that beautiful bloom, it leaves something behind. These long, super tough, woody seed pods. And we're not talking just a few pods here and there. We're talking on a scale that creates a huge disposal challenge for entire towns and cities.
And that, right there, is the big question for today. What if this nuisance, this giant pile of stuff nobody wants, was actually a resource, just in disguise? What if we could actually unlock its hidden potential to grow food and, get this, revitalize the very ground it falls on?
Okay, so first, let's really get a handle on the problem itself. Why is the fruit of this beautiful tree such a massive headache?
I mean, every single year, these trees drop an unbelievable amount of debris, sometimes hundreds of pounds from just one tree. They form these thick blankets on the ground. And because they're so tough and woody, they don't break down easily. They just pile up. And look, this isn't just about it looking messy. The impact is very real. These pods clog up vital drainage systems. They become these perfect little homes for pests and rodents. They stink as they slowly rot, and cleaning it all up costs time and money that a lot of communities just don't have.
Okay, so if it's just organic matter, why can't we just compost it or feed it to animals, right? Well, it turns out the pod has a very effective defense mechanism. Let's get into the science of what makes this particular waste so incredibly tough.
The secret weapon here is a compound called tannin. You've probably heard of tannins, maybe in your wine or your tea. Well, in these pods, they act like a kind of natural armor, stopping the fungi and bacteria that would normally break them down right in their tracks. They essentially lock all the good stuff, all the nutrients, inside. This visual really gets to the heart of the challenge. With tannins, the pod is basically a locked box. Nothing can get in to access all that potential. But, and this is the key, if you can get rid of those tannins, that same pod completely transforms. It becomes a rich food source for microbes, which is the very first step to turning it into something useful. We just need the key to unlock it.
So where do we find that key? This is where the innovation just gets so cool. Researchers found not one, but two microscopic heroes that are perfect for the job.
I mean, how do you defeat a natural defense system that's evolved to be this effective? Well, you don't fight it with brute force. You fight it with biology. Our first hero is a bacterium you've probably run into before in things like sauerkraut or even sourdough bread. Lactobacillus plantarum has a superpower. It produces an enzyme called tannase, and that enzyme specifically targets and shatters tannins, effectively disarming the pod's entire defense system.
Our second hero is even more famous. It's plain old baker's yeast. Now, Saccharomyces cerevisiae uses a totally different strategy. Instead of just breaking the tannins down, it can actually metabolize them, or convert them into other harmless compounds, or even just absorb them right onto its cell walls, basically pulling them out of the picture.
So we've unlocked the pods. Now what do we do? Well, the first step in this incredible recycling journey is to turn them into a high-value food product, delicious oyster mushrooms.
The process itself is like a brilliant little production line. First, you ferment the pods with our microbial heroes to get rid of those tannins. Second, you mix those treated pods with palm kernel cake, which is another agricultural byproduct that adds a nice nitrogen boost. Third, this new mix, this substrate, is used to grow mushrooms. And fourth, and this part is absolutely key, you collect what's left over after the mushrooms have done their thing. Because that leftover material, it isn't waste, not at all. It's the second, and you could argue even more valuable product. This is where we go from creating food to creating fertility. This stuff is called spent mushroom substrate, or SMS for short. You see, as the mushrooms grew, their root network, the mycelium, broke down the pod mixture even further, concentrating all the nutrients. The material that's left is this fantastic organic soil conditioner that can literally bring poor quality soil back to life.
So how do you prove it really works? Well, the researchers set up a simple but really effective experiment. They're growing lettuce in 3 different conditions. First, just plain, poor quality soil. Second, that same soil mixed with our new SMS. And third, soil treated with a standard chemical fertilizer. The goal is to see if this recycled waste can perform as well as, or maybe even better than, the synthetic stuff.
All right, so let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture here. Why is a project about tree pods and mushrooms so important?
First off, this process is just ridiculously effective. While the research on these specific pods is still going, a similar study cited in the source material found that fermenting soybeans with our hero, L. plantarum, slashed the tannin content by a whopping 93%. That just shows you how powerful this biological unlock really is.
And that brings us to the final, really beautiful conclusion. This isn't just waste management. It's a perfect circular solution. You take a problematic urban waste, a real nuisance, and you give it value. In the process, you create food, you create an organic alternative to chemical fertilizers, and you improve soil health for the long run. It is a win-win-win.
You know, this whole process really makes you think, doesn't it? It's a powerful reminder that in nature, there's no such thing as waste, just resources that are in the wrong place. So the question it leaves us all with is, what other things we throw away are just waiting for the right key to unlock their hidden value?